So I do, in fact, keep up with the latest on the Oregon basketball front. My everydayers out there know I love basketball quite a bit. I love baseball as well. I like watching softball. I primarily talk about football on the show because I know that's what you guys want more than anything. However, I am a huge college basketball fan as someone who has the privilege of being a part of Division I college basketball broadcasts every single year. College basketball rocks. And so I talk about it when there is, a significant piece of news here on the show. Here's a significant piece of news. Oregon has roster spots available. One or two, I'm sure they could figure it out if they were out of scholarships. I don't think that their roster is completely full up. And Paul Mbyia, I'm just going to call him Paul because I haven't gotten official word on the pronunciation of his last name. But he is a player from overseas who I think is 20 years old. He's originally from the Congo, I believe it is. No, not Cameroon. He's originally from Cameroon, and he's been playing on like a professional, semi-professional team in France. And this guy has not been playing basketball for a very long time, but he's 6'10", 6'11", and I will never stop making this comparison. He can be. His ceiling is in Folly Dante 2.0. This has to excite Dana Altman when he turned on this guy's film, and Oregon was in a really good position for him when he was deciding whether he wanted to go play professionally, like head straight to the G League, or play in another professional league overseas, or come play American college basketball. And Oregon was a school that recruited him very heavily, and he verbally committed to NC State. Oregon had brought him to Eugene for an official visit. They flew all the way to Europe. He's playing in France on a team owned by Tony Parker. They flew there to watch him play. They were very, very interested. He ended up picking NC State. All right, them's the breaks. That's the way it goes. Well, here's the other break. NC State is no longer going to have Paul on their team because they decided to go in another direction. There was another more proven transfer portal target that came available to the Wolfpack, and they decided to put their resources over there. And so there weren't as many resources to allocate to Paul. And so his recruitment is back open. There are other schools that are in the mix. Kansas is among them, but Oregon is seen as the favorite. And I would be so on board with this addition. Now, I was reading a piece over, I forget exactly where it was, but I was reading up on this in preparation for this segment, and I saw that Paul had given a pass quote to On3 in an interview a while back that said Oregon had offered him a starting position, which I found curious, to say the least, because this is an Oregon basketball team that is returning basically 3 of 5 starters from a year ago, a team that went to the round of 32 for the second straight season: Jackson Shellstad, KJ Evans, and Nate Biddle. Those guys are, now Evans wasn't technically a starter, but the minutes played over the last month and a half of the season or so, KJ Evans played more than Brandon Angel. Evans needs to get better offensively, but defensively, KJ Evans is a rock star at that end of the floor. If he can do that, Biddle does it at both ends, and Shellstad can score the basketball, of course. But, and I am bummed that Desmond Claude went to Washington, not just because it's a really good pickup and the Huskies are going to be a good team, but because I really wanted Oregon to get him. It would have been perfect. Proven Power 4, 16-point-a-game scorer at USC last season, but I digress. So I found it curious that had been said. Maybe it's one of those promises coaches make on the trail and then it gets adapted. And I have seen in the college basketball space that's led to guys transferring before, where this happens all the time. They get told certain things when they're brought into a program at all sorts of levels. I've seen this happen. And they think they're going to play a certain number of minutes. They think they're going to have a role. The ball's going to be in their hands so much. But the coaching staff decides, a team doesn't play as well when that happens. The team, we got to do what's in the best interest. And then at the end of the year, the guy says, yeah, I'm going to hit the portal, because, of course, guys have unlimited free agent power in this lovely modern world of college athletics. So Paul has requested to be released, and I believe he has been released from his letter of intent to go to NC State. He's back on the market and available. I would love for Oregon to get him. I would not see him as a starter. He could be a player. He could certainly be a player. You know, Oregon had the Miles Goodman situation flame out because he had an off-the-field incident, and Oregon dismissed him from the program after he was brought in as a transfer from Penn State. But, you know, you've brought in Sean Stewart, the big from Ohio State, and your front court could use another body. You don't necessarily have to have it, but if you want to have it, I think it could make a lot of sense. What I would like to see that Oregon bring him in for is to be a role player this year, starting center next year. That I think is the ideal trajectory for two reasons. Number one, you do not want to mess with Nate Biddle. I mean, that guy just had an all Big Ten caliber season because he's an all Big Ten caliber player. He's one of the best big men in the country. And so I don't want him to have to work in a new role to the offense. Number two, I also don't want to stunt the offensive growth of KJ Evans. KJ Evans has to become a better offensive player for Oregon basketball to take the next step forward. If he does not, it is a significant hindrance when you have one guy on the court that cannot consistently find ways to score. That is a problem. And so he's so good defensively. I love him at that end. He's got to be more consistent on offense. He shows glimpses. He does not sustain it. He has not yet. If he does that this year, his potential, he can be Chris Bosh. That is KJ Evans' ceiling. He can be Chris Bosh. But if Paul were to work his way to Eugene and be on the roster, he should not start for either one of those guys. He's good enough, old enough, and experienced enough to see the court and play minutes. And your four bigs, if they are Evans and Biddle and Stewart and Paul, that's a loaded front court. And then next year, what Oregon can do when Biddle is out of eligibility, Evans will have an NBA decision. I'd suspect, unless he makes a massive leap this year, I'd suspect he comes back for a fourth year. And then you can start KJ Evans and Paul in the front court, who will have had some time playing together. That is a high-end potential for Oregon's front court in the next couple of years. That's what I would like to see play out. So he's available once again. I hope very soon I'm able to do a segment on him arriving to the Ducks, because there's a track record here. Dana Altman's history with international players of all sorts of positions is really good. Chris Boucher's Canadian, and Folly Dante was from an African country originally, from Mali. He was from Mali originally, and I think that if you can use that as a selling point and get Paul to come and be a role player for 1 year and a starter next year, I think this could go phenomenally well for Oregon basketball. So hopefully they go out and get him. Appreciate everybody listening. I will see you next time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.